Hello, friends. Before we begin, write in the comments what country you're watching from. We're always curious to know where our viewers are from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. We hope you enjoy and feel great while watching. Andrey stood in front of his house, holding the key, unsure if he should unlock the door. The week had passed quickly, but now it was time to face the consequences. He had known Elena for 20 years. In all that time, she never forgave even the smallest lie. And now he had disappeared for a full week, phone off, no explanation. His hands were shaking a little, and his mouth was dry, like before an important meeting. But this time it wasn't about business. It was his whole life on the line. Marina had told him last night, as they lay in bed together, "Stop hiding. You already said the love is gone. So, why keep pretending?" But Andrey knew Elena too well. She wouldn't just quietly let go. 3 years ago, when he stayed at a work party until 3 a.m. and forgot to tell her, she screamed so loudly the whole house shook. She accused him of not respecting her, demanded phone numbers of everyone at the party to double-check. Then, for 2 weeks, she only cooked for herself and left him notes like, "Heat this in the microwave." 6 months ago, when he forgot to mention a short business trip, she gave him the silent treatment for a week. She only spoke to him when it was about the kids. And a year ago, when he casually said his pretty secretary looked like an actress, Elena spent a whole month sarcastically asking about his taste in art and beauty. That's why this time, Andrey didn't plan to say anything. Not yet. He wanted to plan carefully, think everything through. He turned the key. The lock clicked. He stepped inside, expecting yelling, stomping footsteps, maybe even crying. But the house was quiet. It smelled like something tasty was cooking in the kitchen. Then he heard Elena's calm voice. "You're back." He froze. No anger, no bitterness. Just calm surprise, like he'd worked a little late, not vanished for a week. "Yeah, it's me," he said, taking off his jacket with shaky hands. "Great. I was just about to have dinner," she said. "Wanna join me?" Confused, Andrey walked into the kitchen. Elena stood at the stove in an old gray sweater and faded jeans, stirring something in a big pan. Her brown hair was tied in a messy ponytail, and she had a small smile on her face, like nothing was wrong. "Are you not mad?" he asked, sitting down at the kitchen island. Elena turned toward him. Her face was calm. No anger, no suspicion. Just the soft, peaceful smile of a wife happy to see her husband. But Andrey didn't notice how her jaw tensed for a second, or how she quietly clenched and unclenched her left hand behind her back. "Mad? What for?" she asked, tilting her head and pretending not to understand. "You're an adult. You can go wherever you want," Elena said. "I just thought you might be worried. You didn't answer your phone." "I was actually worried." She laughed softly, with no hint of sarcasm. "Worried? You're not a kid." Then she looked at him thoughtfully. Though a kid would at least send a message if he was going to be late. Her words stung, but her voice was so calm and gentle that Andrey chose to let it go. At least there was no shouting. That meant maybe, just maybe, things could still be fixed peacefully. "What are you cooking?" he asked, sniffing the delicious smell from the pan. "Chicken with veggies and herbs." "Your favorite," Elena said with a warm, genuine smile. "Remember how your mom taught me to make it in our first years of marriage?" Andrey nodded. Of course he remembered. Back then, Elena didn't know much about cooking. His mom, now gone, had spent hours teaching her all the family recipes. "Go wash up," she said, turning back to the stove. "I'll set the table. And put on something comfortable. You look exhausted." Andrey went upstairs, still trying to process what was happening. In 20 years of marriage, Elena had never reacted this calmly when he'd messed up. Maybe she had really changed. Maybe she had grown wiser. Maybe she had finally learned to forgive. He changed into jeans and a t-shirt, splashed cold water on his face, and looked at his reflection, a tired 48-year-old man. The past week with Marina had felt like a dream. They barely left her apartment. They ordered takeout, made love, and talked about their future. She wanted a vacation together. She wanted to live with him after he got divorced. But now that Andrey was back in his own home, it hit him. He wasn't ready for any of that. This was his life. Familiar, stable, predictable. When he came back downstairs, the table was set like it was a holiday. A white tablecloth. Fancy plates with gold trim. Their wedding china, which they usually only brought out for guests. Even candles flickered in crystal holders. "Wow, what's the occasion?" he asked, sitting down at the head of the table. "No special reason," Elena said, taking a seat across from him and pouring red wine into 2 glasses. "I just wanted to have a nice dinner with my husband. It's not every day we get time together like this." "The kids?" he asked. "They already ate. Anna's working on a history project at her friend's house. Maxim's upstairs getting ready for his chess competition tomorrow." Elena took a sip of wine, then looked straight at him. "So tell me, how are you? Where were you this past week?" There it was. Andrey braced himself for the lie. He picked his words carefully. "Work. A huge project for an important client. I basically lived at the office, working 18 hours a day." "I see," Elena said calmly, cutting into her chicken. "Must have been exhausting. Good thing you had help. That girl, what's her name again? Marina?" Andrey nearly choked on his wine and started coughing. Elena quietly handed him a napkin. "How do you know about her? I never told you about her." "You did," Elena replied with that same soft smile. 2 months ago, you mentioned a new employee. You said she was smart, ambitious." Andrey didn't remember saying that, but he nodded anyway. "Maybe I did. No big deal," Elena said, leaning back, but still looking right at him. "I'm just thinking out loud. Hope you don't mind." Just then, their daughter Anna appeared in the kitchen doorway. At 16, she usually avoided family dinners and preferred eating alone in her room. But now she stood silently, her smart gray eyes studying her parents. "Dad, you're back," she said flatly, no excitement, no surprise. "Hi, Anushka. Did you miss me?" "Not really." Anna shrugged, just like her mom. "Mom said you were on an important business trip." Elena met her daughter's eyes and gave her a small nod. Clearly, they had talked. "Is everything okay?" Anna asked, looking from one parent to the other. "This all feels kinda weird." "What do you mean, honey?" Elena asked gently. "I don't know. Everything's too perfect. And you're too calm." Anna shifted her weight. "Maxim wants to know if you're coming to his chess competition tomorrow." Andrey looked confused. "His what?" "His chess tournament. It's in 2 days. He told you about it last Saturday when you were still here." Anna watched her father closely, clearly trying to read his face. "Of course I will," Andrey said quickly, even though he barely remembered that conversation. "I'll definitely be there to support our champion." "Perfect," Elena said, clapping her hands. "A family day out. I'll come too. Maybe after the competition we can go to the park or the movies." Anna stood there for a few more seconds, like she wanted to say something, but then just nodded and walked away. Andrey watched her go. A few minutes later, he could hear quiet voices coming from the hallway. "Do you hear that?" Anna whispered. "They're not acting normal." "I know," Maxim replied softly. He was only 14, but his voice was serious. "Mom's way too calm. Remember how she lost it when Dad was late to my concert last year? And now he disappears for a whole week, and she acts like nothing happened." "And Dad," Anna said. "He looks scared of her. I saw him flinch when she looked at him. Do you think they had a big fight?" "I don't know," Maxim answered. "But something weird is going on. And I don't like this whole perfect family thing they're pretending to be." "Should we spy on them?" Anna asked. "No," he replied. "Let's just wait. At the competition tomorrow, we'll see what's really going on." Their voices faded, and then footsteps climbed the stairs to the kids' rooms. "Our children are smart," Elena said quietly, still looking down at her plate. "They can sense fake behavior from a mile away." "Fake?" Andrey tensed up. "Nothing," Elena said with a smile. "I just meant you told them I was on a business trip. What else could I have told them? That my husband disappeared and wasn't answering his phone? Why worry the kids with things they don't need to know?" "Thank you," Andrey said, feeling some relief. "You did the right thing." "Of course I did." Elena smiled again. That same soft smile. I'm the perfect wife. I cover for my husband, protect him from awkward questions, keep the house warm and cozy, cook his favorite meals, and make sure our family still looks good on the outside. There was something in her voice. The words were nice, but the way she said them, it didn't sit right with Andrey. There was a tiny edge of sarcasm under her calm tone. Elena stood up and began clearing the table. Her movements were smooth and slow, like someone holding back strong emotions. Andrey noticed how she held the plates just a little too long, her fingers trembling slightly. She paused for a moment before reaching for the next dish, like she needed to catch her breath. Go rest, she said. You must be so tired after all that intense work. Andrey followed her out of the kitchen, but stopped at the doorway. Lena, are you sure you're not mad? You seem a little too calm. She turned to face him, wearing that same gentle smile. But just for a split second, something cold flashed at her eyes, something sharp and calculating, like a scientist observing a specimen. Of course not, dear, she said sweetly. I understand. Work is work, especially when it completely takes over your life. She walked up and gave him a soft kiss on the cheek. Her lips were warm, but the kiss felt distant, almost rehearsed. Good night. Andrey went upstairs, feeling strangely uneasy. Something wasn't right. Elena had never forgiven so easily. She had never acted so distant, like she was watching him from outside the moment, studying his every move. Down in the kitchen, Elena stayed where she was. She stood still, slowly counting to 30 while doing calm breathing exercises, a technique she had learned back in college to stay in control. Only when she heard the creak of the stairs and the bedroom door close upstairs did she let her body relax. But there was no anger on her face, only deep, focused calm. The kind of calm you see in a surgeon right before a difficult operation. Elena opened the kitchen drawer and took out a small leather notebook. She flipped to a clean page and carefully wrote, Day 1. Reaction to return, confusion, excuses. Didn't expect him to stay calm. Interesting. Elena took a deep breath. She just had to stay calm. The key was not to overdo it. She read over what she had written in her notebook, then put it away. From her purse, she pulled out a thick envelope full of photos. The private investigator had done his job well. Photos of Andrey and Marina at a restaurant, at the theater, in the parking lot near her house, at the entrance of a hotel out of town. The last ones were taken just that morning, Andrey kissing Marina goodbye outside her door, promising to come back soon, telling her he'd leave his wife right after the new year. Elena looked through the photos one by one, memorizing each detail. Then, calmly, she tore them into small pieces and ran them through the garbage disposal. No evidence. No proof left behind. She didn't need it anymore. Everything was already burned into her memory. She walked to the window and looked at her reflection in the dark glass. A 45-year-old woman stared back. A woman who had given 20 years of her life to her family, built a loving home, raised children, supported her husband's career, and gave up her own dreams for his success. 20 years can't just end like this, she whispered. A story like this deserves the right ending, something fitting, something fair. She had been working on her plan for a month. Tomorrow it would begin. And then Andrey would see what it means to betray a woman who not only knows how to love, but also how to get revenge, quietly, patiently, and without mercy. Her revenge would be perfect. The next morning, Elena woke up at 9:30, as usual. For 20 years, she had followed a strict morning routine. Wake up, shower, cook breakfast, send her husband off to work. But today was different. Today, the plan began. Andrey was still asleep, facing the wall. In his sleep, he looked younger, like the man she married. Elena watched him for a moment, then quietly got out of bed and went to the bathroom. She looked in the mirror and mentally reviewed her plan. It was Saturday. Maxim had his chess tournament. A perfect day to start. Andrey would be relaxed. He thought everything was fine now. He had no idea what was coming. Mom, are you up? Anna's sleepy voice called from behind the door. Yes, sweetheart. I'm about to make breakfast. Can I have pancakes? I feel like something special today. Elena smiled. Anna always sensed the mood in the house. Of course, I'll make some right now. In the kitchen, Elena turned on the coffee maker and got out the pancake ingredients. The familiar routine helped her focus. As she whisked the batter, Maxim came downstairs, tall, thin, with messy hair and the thoughtful eyes he got from his dad.
Morning, champ.
Ready for your tournament? She asked. Maybe. Maxim sat at the table and yawned. Mom, is Dad really coming? Of course. He promised. He promises a lot, Maxim said, shrugging. Like when he promised to come to my concert. And to the parents' meeting in September. Elena paused for a second, pancake mid-flip.
He was right.
Andrey had let them down more than once, always blaming work. And each time, she had covered for him, making up excuses. This time will be different, she said softly. How can you be so sure? Maxim asked. She flipped the pancake and smiled at him. I just know. Andrey woke up at 8:30 and came downstairs in sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair a mess and a slightly awkward look on his face. He still couldn't believe how smoothly dinner had gone the night before. Good morning, dear, Elena said, kissing his cheek like always. Coffee? Yes, please. He sat down at the table where the kids were already eating. Max, your tournament is at 2 o'clock, right? Maxim didn't look up from his plate.
Yeah.
You said you'd come. I'll be there. I promise, Andrey said, taking a sip of his coffee. So, he added, what's the plan for the weekend? I'm going to my friend's place, Anna said. They don't have great internet, so I'll be offline until Monday. And after the tournament, I want to visit Grandpa, Maxim added. He asked me to help him with the computer. Elena listened carefully. After lunch, she and Andrey would be alone. Perfect, she said with a smile. Dad and I will have a romantic evening. Andrey almost choked on his coffee. What do you mean? It's been a long time since we had time together, Elena said, sitting beside him. Maybe we can go to the theater. Or just stay home and talk. Talk about what? Andrey asked cautiously.
About life.
About our plans. About what we want for the future. Elena looked at him with a small smile. You don't mind, do you? Of course not, Andrey said. The kids looked at each other. Anna shook her head slightly as she glanced at her dad. Maxim frowned. Dad, what happened to your phone? He asked suddenly. I tried to call on Wednesday when I was sick. Mom said you were in an important meeting, but you usually answer. Andrey tensed up. My phone died, and I left the charger at home. It was dead for the whole week? Maxim asked, surprised. Not the whole week. I just had a lot of work and no time. I see, Maxim said, nodding, but his eyes showed doubt. Elena watched them closely, paying attention to every reaction from her husband. A classic case of cognitive dissonance, she thought. He wants to lie, but he's scared of being caught. The stress is messing up his story. After breakfast, the kids went to do their own things. Andrey tried to go to his office, but Elena gently stopped him at the stairs. Andrey, I need to go to the store to get stuff for dinner. Will you come with me? I was going to work. On a Saturday? Elena tilted her head. After such a tough week, you should relax. Yes, but... No buts. Elena took his arm. I also want your opinion on a gift for your mom. Her birthday's coming up. Andrey couldn't say no without seeming suspicious. In the car, Elena chatted casually about their upcoming week, but she was watching him carefully. Every time his phone rang, Andrey jumped. When he answered, his replies were short and tense. Who's calling? Elena asked after the third call. A colleague from work. On a Saturday?
Yeah.
Hardworking team you've got, Elena said, eyeing him. Was it Marina?
No.
Not Marina, Andrey said too fast. Another colleague. Lying, Elena noted silently. Too nervous for a normal question. Marina's name makes him panic. At the mall, Elena led him to the men's section. You need a new shirt for work, she said, picking out a blue one. This one's great for meetings. She held it up to his chest, and then she noticed a smell. A light, floral perfume. Feminine. One she didn't wear. Interesting, Elena said calmly, putting the shirt back. Is that a new cologne? What cologne? Andrey looked confused. You smell different. Flowery. Elena smiled sweetly. Maybe your office installed a new air freshener? Yeah, maybe. Another mental note for Elena's list. They finished shopping and drove home. The kids were getting ready for the chess competition. Anna wore a black jacket and jeans, looking older than 16. Maxim was nervous, double-checking his backpack. Everyone ready? Elena asked. Let's go. The competition took place at the city's art school. Big hall. Chess tables. Parents lined the walls. Elena and Andrey sat in the second row. Andrey looked around. So many kids. They're so serious. Maxim trained for 3 months, Elena said. Played against the computer 2 hours a day.
Wow.
I didn't know, Andrey said. There's a lot you don't know about your children, Elena replied. Her voice was calm, perfectly polite, but it still hit Andrey. I work hard for the family, he said. I know, Elena said, putting her hand on his knee. But it's sad you miss so many important moments. They watched Maxim's first game. He was focused, thinking through every move. Andrey looked proud. It showed on his face. Remember how you taught him to play? Elena asked softly. He was 7. You played with him every evening. Yes, Andrey said with a smile. He always used to try and take my king back then, Elena said with a smile. But then you started staying late at work, and the game stopped. Lena, it's okay, love, Andrey said. Elena squeezed his hand. The important thing is you're here now. Maxim really wanted this. Maxim won the first game and looked proudly at his parents. Andrey waved to him, and Maxim's face lit up with joy. See how happy he is? Elena whispered. This really matters to him. I understand, Andrey replied. I hope so, she said gently.
She paused.
Kids grow up fast. One day they're small, and the next they're all grown. And if you miss that time... What do you mean? Andrey asked. Nothing special, Elena said. Just thinking. She gave him a thoughtful look. Sometimes people get caught up in something new and forget what really matters. Andrey turned pale. Lena, if you think something's going on... What could I possibly think? She interrupted sweetly. I have a great husband, amazing kids, a good job. What more could I want? Just then, Andrey's phone lit up. He glanced at it and turned red. Work again? Elena asked. Just spam, he said quickly, hiding the phone. But Elena had seen the name, Marina, with a little heart next to it. Perfect, she thought. Another clue. Now she had the name, the message time, and his reaction. That was enough. Maxim won the second game, but lost the final round. He got a certificate for second place and looked happy. You'll win next time, Andrey said, hugging him. Thanks for coming, Dad. It means a lot. Of course. I promised. After the ceremony, they dropped Anna off at her friend's house and Maxim at his grandpa's. Now Elena and Andrey were alone. Want to just relax at home? Andrey asked, starting the car. Tired? Of course, love, Elena said, leaning back in her seat. We'll talk at home. I'll show you something interesting. What is it? You'll see, she said with a mysterious smile. You'll want to know what I've been doing these past 2 months. Andrey gripped the steering wheel tighter. There was something new in Elena's voice.
Her tone had changed.
She looked out the window, going over the clues in her mind. That unfamiliar perfume. Marina's name with a heart. His nervous reactions. The fake story about the dead phone. Everything was clear now. It was time for the next step. At home, Elena went to the bedroom and changed into a deep red house dress. The one Andrey once said made her look especially beautiful. She let her hair down and added a touch of lipstick. If they were going to have an important conversation, she wanted to look perfect. Andrey walked around the living room nervously, glancing at his phone. 3 more messages from Marina had come while they were out. He didn't open them near Elena, but she noticed his face tighten each time the screen lit up. Would you like some tea? She called from the kitchen. Or something stronger? Tea, please, Andrey said, trying to stay calm as he sat down. Elena put the kettle on. The house was quiet, and every sound seemed louder. Andrey coughed, flipped a magazine page, and coughed again. He was clearly nervous. "Andrey, honey," she called sweetly. "Remember that new employee, Marina? How's she doing?" Silence. Then his chair creaked.
She's fine. Why?
"Just curious," Elena said, walking in with a tray. "She must be young and ambitious, right?" "Yeah, normal employee." "I see." She placed the teacups on the table and sat on the sofa across from him. "I was thinking maybe we should invite her over sometime, so I can meet her." Andrey flinched and almost spilled his tea. "Why?" "Why not?" Elena said innocently. "You talk about her a lot. I'm curious. If she helps you with important work, I should get to know her." "I don't talk about her." "You don't?" Elena tilted her head. "Strange. I thought you mentioned her name 3 times in the last 2 days. Even if you didn't mean to, that means she's on your mind." She smiled and sipped her tea. "No big deal. It's normal to tell your wife about work," Elena said. Andrey didn't say anything. He just stared into his cup. Elena watched him like a professional. She could tell he was stuck, afraid to say anything because it might give him away. "You know," she said calmly, "I was at the mall today and suddenly thought after all these years, we still don't really know each other." "What do you mean?" Andrey asked. "Just small things," she replied. "Like how you changed your cologne and I didn't even notice at first. Or how back when we got married you always answer my calls. Even during meetings." "There was less work back then," Andrey muttered. "Maybe. But now, it feels like your priorities have changed," she said, looking at him. "What priorities?" "My family is my top priority." "Of course," she said, returning to the sofa. "But lately, especially these past 2 months, you've felt distant." Andrey's heart jumped. 2 months. That's exactly how long he'd been seeing Marina. "You're overthinking it," he said. "Maybe," she shrugged. "But a woman's intuition is rarely wrong." Just then Andrey's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen and went pale. "Work again?" Elena asked. "Yes," he said quickly, and flipped the phone face down. "It's Saturday evening," she said, checking the time. "It's already 7. What's so urgent?" "A project. The deadline is Monday." "I see." Elena stood up. "Then go ahead, answer. I don't want to get in the way of anything important." No, it's fine. I'll answer later." "Are you sure?" She came closer. "What if it's really urgent?"
No.
"It's fine," Andrey said, shoving the phone into his jeans pocket. Elena noticed how tense he was and how he wouldn't look her in the eye.
Perfect, she thought.
He's feeling the pressure. Now he'll start making mistakes. She sat again, closer this time. "Let's talk about us," she said. "Us."
Yes.
"Our relationship. What we want from life." She folded her hands. "Andrey, are you happy in this marriage?" The question hit him hard. "Of course I'm happy. Why would you ask that?" "It's not a strange question," Elena said calmly. "In 2 months, we'll have been married 21 years. I want to know if that's something we should celebrate." "What do you mean?" "Of course we should." "I'm just thinking out loud." Elena got up and paced around the room. "In my work, I see couples who live together on autopilot. They're not unhappy, but they're not happy either. Just existing side by side." "We're not like that," Andrey said quickly. "Really? Then how would you describe our relationship?" Andrey opened his mouth, then closed it. What could he say? That he loved her but was cheating? That Marina suddenly mattered more? "We have a good relationship," he said finally. "Good," Elena repeated. "Not great. Not amazing. Just good." "Okay then. So, why weren't you home for a week?" The question landed like a bomb. Andrey's palms began to sweat. "I told you. Work." "Yes, work." Elena nodded slowly. "Very demanding work." She sat down beside him again, so close he could smell her perfume. The one she'd worn for 20 years. "Andrey, I want to ask you something. And I need you to be honest." "Okay. Are you cheating on me?" Silence. The ticking clock felt deafening. Andrey looked at her and saw something new in her eyes. Not anger, not sadness, but cold curiosity, like a scientist watching an experiment. No, he said hoarsely. Of course not. Of course not, Elena echoed. Interesting way to say it. Like the idea itself is ridiculous. And maybe it is. But then, explain this. She pulled a folded receipt out of her pocket. Today, while you were in the shower, I grabbed your shirt to wash it. This was in the pocket. She unfolded the receipt. It was from a restaurant. Dinner for two. Dated 2 days ago. 8 p.m. Andrey went pale. This was a work dinner, Andrey said. A work dinner? Elena looked at the receipt. At the Venice restaurant? That's a romantic place. Wine for 500, oysters, dessert. She looked up. Pretty generous for something work-related. We were celebrating finishing a project, Andrey said.
We.
Elena leaned in. So you weren't alone? No, I was with colleagues. Colleagues. Elena nodded slowly. But the receipt is for 2 people. The others paid separately, Andrey replied. I see. Elena carefully folded the receipt and slipped it back into her pocket. So, it was a work dinner with colleagues at a romantic restaurant. Yes. All right. Elena stood up. Then you won't mind if I call the restaurant and ask about it. Maybe we can book the same place for our anniversary? Why would you call them? Andrey asked. I just want to know what kind of service they offer, since that dinner cost so much. Elena took out her phone. Let me find their number. There's no need, Andrey said suddenly, standing up fast. Why not? Elena asked, a bit surprised. You said it was nice there. It was just really expensive. That's okay. Anniversaries are special. Elena was already dialing. Hello, Restaurant Venice? She said. Andrey watched her with panic in his eyes. What if she asked about the night before last? Good evening, Elena said into the phone. Then, suddenly, she paused and hit the end call button. Sorry, darling. They're closed. Andrey let out a deep breath. I'll call them tomorrow, Elena added calmly. Lena, maybe we shouldn't go there for our anniversary. Why not? She asked gently. You said it was a great place. It was but noisy. Not really right for a romantic dinner. But good enough for a work dinner? Elena asked. Andrey realized he'd backed himself into a corner. Lena, he stopped. He had no idea what to say. What is it, darling? Elena asked sweetly. Nothing. I'm just tired. Of course, she said, walking over and placing a hand on his shoulder. After such a busy week, and that work dinner. Her touch was soft, but Andrey felt something cold behind it. You know what? Elena said, stepping away toward the window. Let's save the serious talks for later. You really do look tired. Good idea, Andrey said, relieved. But tomorrow, we'll talk about everything, she said, turning to face him. We'll have the whole day. The kids won't be home until Sunday evening. Plenty of time to discuss everything. She smiled slightly. Our life. Our relationship. Our future. And, of course, your work. I'd love to hear the details of your projects. Andrey nodded, but inside, he was panicking. Tomorrow she'd continue the questioning.
And he wasn't ready.
Not at all. Go rest, Elena said. I'll clean up downstairs. Andrey went upstairs, but he couldn't sleep. He just lay there thinking. Elena definitely suspected something. The restaurant receipt. The strange questions. Hints about Marina. Downstairs, Elena calmly washed dishes and planned her next move. The receipt was just the beginning. She had more proof. More cards to play. Tomorrow, she would show Andrey that this was no ordinary conversation, it was a game. And she was a professional. Sunday morning started with a phone call. Elena was making breakfast when the house phone rang. Andrey, drinking coffee and staring at his phone, jumped. Hello. Elena answered warmly. Good afternoon. Can I speak to Andrey? The woman's voice was young, confident, and slightly husky. Of course. Who's calling? It was Marina, his colleague. Elena froze for just a second, then smiled. Fate was on her side. Now she could judge the threat for herself. Just a moment. She covered the receiver with her hand. Andrey, it's your colleague. Marina. Andrey turned pale and almost dropped his cup. Tell her I'm not home. Why? Elena asked. She says it's about work. I just don't want to talk about work on the weekend. I see. Elena brought the phone back to her ear. Marina, sorry, Andrey isn't home right now. Is it urgent? Not really, Marina replied. I just wanted to talk about tomorrow's presentation. Could you give me his number? He can call me back. Thank you, but he already has your number. Of course he does, Elena said smoothly. Elena was speaking so kindly that Andrey started to frown more and more. You know what, Marina? I'm Elena, Andrey's wife. I'm really curious to meet someone who works on such important projects with him. It's so nice to finally connect. Let's meet, Elena said cheerfully. Andrey has been so busy with work lately. I feel like I don't know anything about his professional life anymore. Maybe we could have a coffee today. There was a pause. Elena could almost hear Marina thinking hard on the other end. You know what?
Sure.
Why not? Marina finally replied. I'd like to meet you too. Interesting that she wants to meet me, Elena thought. She wants to check out the competition. Perfect. How about 3 o'clock at Café Provence in the main square? Sounds great. See you there. Elena hung up and turned to Andrey with a bright smile. She seems interesting. Very confident. Lena, why did you do that? Andrey looked like someone had just read out his death sentence. You really set up a meeting with Marina? What's wrong with getting to know the people you work with? Elena said calmly, sitting across from him. And it's funny, she wanted to meet me too. That's not very common. Most employees don't really want to chat with their boss's wife. So she's not avoiding you. She's friendly, Elena added with a small smile. That's actually a good quality in the workplace. Andrey suddenly realized he'd said too much and went quiet. At 2 o'clock, Elena started getting ready. She picked a classy dark blue dress by a designer brand, elegant, not flashy. Her makeup was subtle but high-end. She wore pearl earrings that Andrey had given her on their 10th anniversary. She looked like a successful, confident woman. How do I look? She asked. You look amazing, Andrey said honestly. He really did admire her in that moment. But why so formal? First impressions matter, Elena said as she adjusted her earrings. I want your talented coworker to see who I am. The cafe was in an old building downtown. Elena arrived 10 minutes early and picked a table by the window so she could spot Marina first. She ordered an espresso. At exactly 3 o'clock, Marina walked in, and Elena immediately realized she had underestimated her. She was tall, slim, with light blonde hair and a stylish updo. She wore a soft beige cashmere coat, designer boots with heels, and flawless makeup that brought out her gray-blue eyes. She walked confidently, clearly someone used to attention. Beautiful.
Polished.
Not cheap. Andrey had picked a strong replacement. Marina, Elena said, standing and waving. Yes, that's me, Marina said with a polite smile as she walked over. Nice to meet you, Elena. They shook hands. Marina's grip was firm. She smelled of expensive French perfume. Please sit. What would you like to drink? Elena asked. Cappuccino with almond milk if they have it, Marina said. Watching her figure, Elena noted silently. Of course. She called the waiter. I already ordered espresso. I can't function without caffeine. I understand. Marina smiled as she took off her coat, revealing a fine gray sweater. I have the same addiction. Andrey told me you recently joined their company, Elena said once the drinks arrived. 4 months ago, Marina replied calmly, sipping her coffee. Before that, I worked at an international ad agency. Oh, what made you leave? I needed a change, Marina shrugged. The agency felt too small. I wanted something more. I get that, Elena smiled. Ambitious people need space to grow. And how do you like working at the new company? Elena asked. The team is great, very professional. Andrey Petrovich has built a really strong group. He's a talented leader, Marina replied. Elena smiled proudly, like only a wife could. I've watched him grow for the past 20 years, from a regular manager to the head of a whole department. It's been impressive. Marina nodded. You can tell he has a lot of experience. Oh yes, Elena agreed. Especially when it comes to dealing with people. He really knows how to connect with each employee. She gave Marina a thoughtful look. I'm sure he found a special way to connect with you, too. Well, he's very attentive as a manager, Marina said calmly, not showing much emotion. Attentive, Elena repeated slowly, thinking about the word. And I guess you have to stay late at work sometimes? Andrey has been coming home really late lately. Some projects are complicated, Marina replied carefully. Of course. Do they pay you extra for overtime? Yes, of course. That's good. Elena nodded. Though Andrey always said the best motivation isn't just money, it's the personal attention a manager gives to their team. For the first time, Marina seemed slightly tense. What do you mean? Oh, things like emotional support, understanding, being involved in people's lives, Elena said casually. Andrey is always interested in what's going on with his employees, if they're married, what their dreams are. That's a great quality in a boss, don't you think? Definitely, Marina said. Elena took a sip of her coffee. Do you have a family, Marina?
No.
I'm not married. I see. Elena gave a sympathetic nod. Well, careers do require sacrifices. But at your age, many people start thinking about serious relationships. Maybe, Marina replied, staying calm. But Elena noticed her fingers slightly tighten around her coffee cup. Do you have any personal plans for the future? Elena asked gently. Let's just see what happens, Marina said. She avoided giving a straight answer. Avoids the question, Elena thought to herself. Time to turn up the heat. Marina, I've noticed something strange lately, Elena said, leaning in a little, like she was sharing a secret. Andrey has changed a bit these past couple of months. In what way? Marina asked. He's paying more attention to how he looks, new clothes, a different style. Elena gave a soft smile. He even changed his cologne. He did. Marina asked, touching her neck without thinking, where the scent of her own perfume lingered. Before, he used more classic scents. But now, something lighter, more floral. Maybe he just wanted to update his image, Marina said. Maybe. Elena nodded, acting thoughtful. But I've also noticed him getting distracted a lot, always checking his phone, smiling at messages. Well, managers do get a lot of work-related messages. Of course, Elena agreed. But usually work messages don't make people smile like that. Marina slowly put her cup down and looked straight at Elena. What exactly are you trying to say? Nothing in particular, Elena said with a shrug. I'm just sharing what I've noticed. Women's intuition. And what is your intuition telling you? Elena met her eyes without flinching. That something new is going on in my husband's life. She paused. Or maybe someone new. Silence filled the space between them. Marina studied Elena's face, trying to figure out if she knew something, or if she was just guessing. And if that were true, Marina finally said, what would you do? Elena leaned back in her chair. That's an interesting question. She smiled slightly. Marina, after 20 years of marriage, I've learned one thing. Men often make big mistakes when it comes to their little hobbies. In what way? Marina asked. Men sometimes think they've found something new and exciting, Elena said calmly, almost like she was explaining a lesson. They feel young again. And compared to that, family starts to feel boring. But what if it's not just excitement? Marina leaned in. What if it's real love? Elena smiled softly. You mean love between a married man and a younger coworker? Love has no age, Marina replied. True, Elena nodded. But let me ask you something honestly, Marina. What can a man like that really offer you? What do you mean? Let's think about it, Elena said, ticking things off on her fingers. 20 years of marriage, 2 teenage kids, a mortgage, a house, money, and business ties through the family. Do you think it's easy to leave all of that behind? Marina didn't answer, but Elena could see her words were sinking in. And Elena went on, in these situations, men always make big promises. I'll leave her after New Year. I just need to wait until the kids grow up. I'm almost ready. Marina flinched, like someone had slapped her. How do you know that? Elena smiled. I'm a psychologist, dear. 15 years of experience. I've heard it all. So, what advice do you usually give? Marina asked, trying to stay calm. It depends, Elena said with a shrug. But most of the time, I say, if a man truly wants to be with you, he won't keep stalling. But what if he has real reasons to wait? Marina pushed. Like kids or money?
Kids.
Elena raised an eyebrow. How old? 14 and 16. So, almost adults, Elena said. They'd understand if their dad made a real decision. Marina froze. She realized she had just admitted she knew the exact ages of Andrey's kids. I think I should go, she said quickly, getting up. What a shame, Elena said, standing up too. I really enjoyed our chat. Very enlightening. They walked out in silence. On the street, Marina turned. Elena, what are you planning to do? Do about what? Elena asked, pretending not to know. You know what I mean. Elena calmly buttoned her coat. Let's do this, Marina. I'll give you 1 week. Think about it. Think about what? Think about whether this is really worth it, Elena said coldly. In 1 week, we'll talk again. You'll tell me what you decide. And if you refuse to meet, she started walking to her car. Then Andrey will make the decision for you. But the situation will be a bit different. Marina watched her go, realizing she had walked into a trap. This elegant woman was far more dangerous than she had thought. At home, Andrey was pacing the living room when Elena walked in. So? How was it? He asked nervously. Wonderful, Elena said, taking off her coat. A very smart woman. Beautiful. Confident. What did you two talk about?
Work.
Her plans. Elena went to the kitchen. Oh, and she knows how old our kids are. Strange for just a coworker, don't you think? Andrey froze. Maybe I mentioned it once. Maybe, Elena said while pulling out ingredients from the fridge. We also talked about men who promise to get divorced after New Year. Lena. Interesting topic, right? She turned to him. She understands it very well. Andrey looked like he wanted to disappear. We need to talk, he said quietly. Yes, we do, Elena nodded. But not today. Today I'm tired from meeting new people. When then? Tomorrow, she said, turning on the stove. Tomorrow, we'll have a long, honest talk. Andrey saw something in her eyes that made him go upstairs without another word. He knew tomorrow there would be questions, hard questions, and he had no idea how to answer them. Elena, meanwhile, calmly prepared dinner, thinking back on her meeting with Marina. The other woman had been clever, but not unbeatable. Now Elena had all the information she needed to make her final move. Monday started with the alarm ringing at 7 a.m. Elena woke up feeling clear and calm, with a plan in her head. Today, her 20-year marriage would end. But she was going to end it with dignity, with her head held high. Andrey hadn't slept well. He kept turning all night and woke up looking tired and worried. He knew today was the day. Good morning, dear, Elena said, kissing his cheek like usual. Coffee. Thanks, Andrey said, sitting on the edge of the bed. Lena, I need to tell you something. I know, Elena said calmly, brushing her hair in front of the mirror. But not now. First, let's drop the kids off at school. Then we'll talk. No arguments, Andrey, she said firmly. The kids shouldn't hear this. They already feel something's wrong. Breakfast was quiet. Anna and Maxim exchanged worried glances, but didn't ask anything. Mom, are you going to work today? Anna asked while packing her bag.
No, sweetie.
I took the day off, Elena smiled. Dad and I have something important to handle. What kind of thing? Maxim asked carefully. Grown-up things, Elena said, hugging them both. See you tonight. Once the kids left, the house went silent. Andrey paced nervously in the kitchen while Elena calmly did the dishes. Lena, let's go to the living room, he said. They sat facing each other, she in her favorite chair, he on the sofa. It felt like there was an invisible wall between them. So, Elena said in a serious tone, do you have something to tell me? Andrey stayed quiet for a while. Then he said, I'm seeing Marina. You're seeing her? Elena repeated. For how long? For months. I see. Elena took a small notebook from her purse and wrote something down. What are you doing? Andrey asked. I want the full picture, she said. Are you sleeping with her? Yes. Do you tell her you love her? Yes. Do you promise her you'll divorce me? Yes, after the new year. Elena wrote that down too. Why after the new year? Why not now? The kids, your reaction, and financial stuff. Got it, Elena said, closing the notebook. So, 4 months of cheating, a week with your mistress, and plans to leave me. Anything else? No, Andrey said. All right, she said, standing up and walking to the window. Now it's my turn. What do you mean? I've known about your affair for 2 months, she said, turning to face him. Andrey turned pale. 2 months.
Yep.
Ever since you came home smelling like her perfume, she said, sitting back down. Psychologist's instinct, I notice behavior changes fast. She pulled out a thick folder. Here's what I found out. Inside were many photos, Andrey and Marina at a restaurant, at the theater, at her house, even at a hotel. Where did you get these? He asked. Private detective. Very good at his job, Elena said. Here's a list of your expenses, restaurants, gifts, hotels. In 4 months, you spent nearly 300,000 of our family money on her. Lena, I can explain. No need, she said, closing the folder. I understand perfectly. Now, let's talk about what happens next. What do you mean? The divorce, of course. Elena smiled. You want one, right? I'm ready to help. Help. Andrey looked confused. Yes, Elena said, taking out another document. I've already spoken to a lawyer. Here's a draft of our property division. Andrey started reading. With each line, his face turned whiter. This says you get the house, the summer house, the car, and half of my share in the business, he said. Elena nodded. Plus child support until the kids turn 18. But that's almost everything. Not everything, she said. You'll still have your salary, some savings, and that little apartment you rented to meet Marina. How do you know about the apartment? The detective is very thorough. Elena shrugged. By the way, that apartment you rented costs $40,000 a month. Pretty expensive for a single man. Andrey kept reading the divorce papers. The more he read, the more scared he looked. Lena, this is robbery. No, she said calmly, adjusting her skirt. This is justice. You cheated on me for 4 months. You spent our money on another woman, lied to me and the kids, and thought I'd just stay quiet. But I didn't. I'm ready for a divorce. She leaned forward. Great. Then sign the papers. But these conditions. They're fair, Elena said, standing and walking around the room. For 20 years, I built this home, raised our kids, supported your career, and gave up my own dreams for our family. And what did I get? You cheated. Lena, I know you're upset. I'm not upset, Andrey, she said, stopping in front of him. I'm just disappointed.
Disappointed in you.
In our marriage. In the fact that I gave the best years of my life to a man who threw it all away. For what? An affair with a coworker? It's not just an affair, Andrey said. I love her. You love her? Elena smiled. Then all the more reason to get a divorce. Why wait? But with these terms, I won't be able to support 2 women. You won't. Elena tilted her head. Does Marina know how much money you'll have after the divorce? What do you mean? Did you tell her what you'll be left with once we split everything? Elena sat back in her chair. Or, does she think you're still rich? Andrey was silent. I see, Elena nodded. So you didn't tell her. I wonder how she'll react when she finds out. You wouldn't tell her. Why not? Elena raised her eyebrows. It's just the truth. Why should I keep quiet? It's cruel. Elena laughed. Cruel? Andrey, you cheated on me for 4 months with someone from your office, and you call this cruel? Lena, let's talk this out calmly. We are talking calmly, she said, pointing to the documents. You have 2 choices. She held up 2 fingers. 1. You sign the papers, and we have a peaceful divorce. The kids stay with me, and you can visit them anytime. And the second? You refuse. Then I take you to court and sue you for emotional damage. I have photos, witnesses. The court will take my side. You'll lose a lot more, and the scandal will be public. Witnesses. The private detective is ready to testify. So are the waiters from the restaurants, the hotel manager, and probably your coworkers too. I'm sure they noticed how close you were to Marina. Andrey realized he had walked right into her perfectly set trap. You've been planning this for 2 months? Elena nodded. When you deal with tough situations professionally, you learn to prepare well. So what now? Now you decide, Elena said, walking to the window. You can sign and finally be free, just like you wanted. Or keep pretending to be a family man. But if you sign, you'll have to be honest with Marina. She turned to him. A small apartment. Half your paycheck. And your true love. Romantic, isn't it? Andrey picked up the pen, but his hand was shaking. Lena, maybe we can.
We can what? She asked.
Maybe I break up with Marina. We see a marriage counselor. Try again. No, Elena said, shaking her head. Trust can disappear in a second and take years to rebuild. I don't have those years. But the kids, they'll be okay, Elena said, sitting beside him. It's worse for kids to live in a home without love and respect. You don't love me anymore? Elena looked at him for a long time, then said quietly, I loved the man I married 20 years ago, but that man's gone. Andrey slowly signed the documents. His hand was still shaking, but his signature was clear. What now? He asked. Now you pack and move out, Elena replied, taking the documents. You already have a place. And the kids? I'll explain everything. I'll tell them we decided to live separately. They'll hate me. No, they won't, she said. They're old enough to understand that sometimes people just stop being right for each other. Andrey stood up and went upstairs. Lena, he said quietly. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm not angry, Andrey, she said with a sad smile. Just disappointed. An hour later, he came down with 2 bags. Elena was sitting in a chair, reading. I'm going. Good luck, she said, without looking up. Should we talk about the kids? Of course. You're their father. Andrey stood there for a moment, then walked out. Elena heard the car start, then silence. She closed her book and looked around. The house looked the same, but it felt different. It was easier to breathe. That evening, she told the kids. Anna cried. Maxim stayed quiet but didn't react badly. Mom, will you be happy now? Anna asked. I will, sweetheart, Elena said, hugging her. I will. At that moment, Andrey was sitting in his rented apartment, staring at his phone. Marina had messaged. When can I see you? I miss you. He started typing, then stopped. How could he explain that their plans had changed? Elena was right. Her revenge wasn't loud. She didn't yell or fight. She didn't shame him. She just gave him exactly what he asked for, with all the consequences. Now, Andrey had to explain to Marina what it meant to be with a man who had lost almost everything for love. 20 years of marriage ended quietly, with dignity and fairness. Just like Elena had planned.